everyone, and welcome back to another episode of CodeFights. So you might remember that on the last episode, we had a couple of people try and solve the JavaScript problem string incrementer. Now, I want to remind everyone that they were under a lot of pressure. They'd never seen the question before, only had 15 minutes, and they were being filmed live with a countdown as well. So unfortunately, they didn't manage to solve the challenge within the 15 minutes. A couple of you reached out and actually said that you wanted to see the solution at the end of the video, so we've rectified that today by bringing on front-end developers, Luke and Alex, who are going to talk us through their regex solution. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, the question is actually going to be in the description below, and I'm also going to leave a link somewhere in this video to the previous video with the solutions by the boys. We also love to hear from you, so let us know if you found this challenge really easy, really hard. If you think you've got a great solution, please let us know in the comments below, or you can tweet at us at CodeFights. So without further delay, I'll pass over to Luke.
Right, so increment string. I definitely wanted to use a regex to solve this problem. I think that's probably the easiest way to go about it. So,
Joe, like, just to clarify, what is a regex? Start off with.
It's a way to pull things out of a string, detect if things exist in a string. It's
basically a pattern, really.
Yeah, it's a pattern. It's a pattern library, and it's very non-intuitive though. The regex syntax, I find. I've been doing it for a long time, and I still very much struggle with regex. So there's that. But we've just got a very small one. So first off, we're calling the replace method, which exists on a string inside of JavaScript. And then we're passing it this regular expression. So what this says is select a digit 0 or many times from the end of the string.
Cool.
So we're passing that to the replace, and then instead of just passing a value as the second parameter, we're passing a function. So here we get what is matched. So if this just returns an empty string, which it does for the cases where we don't have a digit at the end of a string,
yeah, right.
Just return 1. That will simply append 1 to the end of it. Easy breakout from that point.
So that's what the replace is doing there. You're returning in the function the number that you want to replace all the digits for. It's a direct swap.
Exactly, yes. And then, so if we've got something a bit more complex, we've actually got a digit returned. We grab that, we turn it into a number or into an integer. Okay. And then we add 1 to it, do the incrementing part of it, and then we turn it back into a string and store it as a variable num-string. Cool. The reason I've done that is because we needed to learn how many digits to put back, or how many zeros to put back in front of it.
Yeah, right.
So here I've just got variable diff, and I take the match length, and I take my num-string length, and I find the difference.
So you're now basically saying, okay, I've started with this many integers, I've now got this many integers, or at least this many digits. Yeah. So you're just you're trying to cross-reference now and see, okay, where are they both sitting? So you kind of get that tail as well at the front.
Yeah, so I can work out how many zeros need to go on the front, because pass in strips those off. Yeah. Turns it into an integer.
Of course.
So if my diff is greater than 0,
so that does mean that you actually have that disparity there. When you did the parseInt, it ripped off the zeros. Now, oh, cool, you've actually got a difference between the two.
Yes. Cool. Yep. And then I just simply, I've got a ternary here, and
so that's that question mark where you.
Yeah. So this is the if this condition here is true, do this part of it. Otherwise, do this part of it.
Yeah. Great.
So the just defining a string of 0, and then the strings have a repeat method. So calling repeat diff. So the amount of numbers in the diff.
Yep.
And then I just simply add this num string back to it.
So repeat is just printing out zeros after 0?
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly,
right.
Yeah. So it'll do it as many times as I ask it to. And then that's the solution. So that will return what to replace my match with, which is the incremented digits.
Yeah, brilliant. And just in 10 lines of code.
Yeah, we should probably give it a run, just confirming it actually works.
Oh, it's thinking about it. Awesome.
Great, excellent. Any other comments?
It's a very simple way of doing things. When we said in the video, we would want to use a regex for it. I've actually been sitting here trying to do it without using a regex, and it's quite a difficult process because that's the way that regexes work, and it's quite a common trend to use in programming, is to use these patterns to try and find them in strings. Strings is a common one. You can use them in other things like arrays, but it's a very important thing to learn as a developer. And when you're not doing that, you're kind of trying to replicate that functionality using some other alternative method. So I built something which is similar. It looks at the ASCII character codes, but basically you're just replicating what regex is doing under the hood, which is just adding far more lines of code than you ever need. And a solution like this, where you're cutting it down to 10 and really leveraging the utilities that JavaScript gives you and the functions that are just native to it, is definitely the way I would have gone about it.
So in your day-to-day sort of work life, how often would you be using regex?
Not a lot. Like form validation and stuff, you're using it a lot. I find in these CodeWars challenges, they're very, very useful. Very useful.
It's mainly when you're doing some quite intricate manipulation. A lot of the things that we're doing is a lot more about parsing data and making sure that we are kind of accumulating data in the right way, but it's not so much a kind of coercion of data, if that makes more sense. And that's kind of a lot of what you get in these CodeWars challenges. It's trying to take something and kind of send it through a function and pull it apart a bit and then reassemble it into something else. And that's when it's super helpful, because you get these things which are able to target very particular parts of, let's say, a string, do what it needs to do, and then kind of leave everything else pretty much untouched. And that's one of the great things you get out of regex. So day to day, less so than something where you're doing this very intricate, trying to do surgery on a very small piece of data.
Excellent. All right. Well, thank you both for being on our show. You'll be finding the boys' Twitter handles down in the description below as well. So again, if you've got any comments, please let us know. Otherwise, we'll see you at the next episode.